Chapter 3. The Girls' Bathroom. Mikey, this ain't the kind of place you want to go to the bathroom in. Chunk. The Goonies. The next morning, when he entered through the front doors of the school, Jack was walking so fast that he missed a crowd of guys gawking at a new girl as she placed her things in her locker. Her hair, like a veil of black velvet, partially covered her porcelain face. Her black pants and black baby tee hugged the curves of her perfect form like cellophane, and her radiant eyes flashed as she turned to watch Jack pass. Tim was tripping along behind him and bumping into people.
"Jack, you want to come be a guest speaker at our anime club today?"
"No, Tim," Jack said, quickening his pace.
"Oh, okay. Where are you headed?"
"Why don't you come and find out?"
"Gotcha. By the way, great article the other day. I'm having the Guardian's editorial staff analyze its structure. Could you come speak for that?"
"Tim, the anime club and the Guardians are the same group."
"Oh, right. Almost tricked ya."
Tim wasn't paying attention and bumped into a trash can. From the far end of the hall, Jason Anderson and his two best buddies, Matt Simmons and Brandon Carson, led their posse of first-string soccer players in Jack and Tim's direction. Tim ducked behind Jack.
"Hey, Timmy,
Matt Cat called. Jason slammed his shoulder into Jack's arm, whirling him around so that they were face to face, his group circling them like sharks. Jack adjusted his jacket and stared back at Jason with a poker face he'd spent years perfecting in his bathroom mirror. "You writing stuff about me?" Jason said. Jack's expression was apologetic. "Sorry, I thought you couldn't read." Jason leaned back, preparing to hit Jack, but Tim jumped in between them.
"No way, man."
Tim puffed out his deflated chest. Jason grabbed Tim and shoved him to the ground. Jack stooped and helped him up as the group taunted them.
"He didn't do anything,"
Jack said, turning back to Jason. "Yeah, and that's why he's got a choice. If he happens to be hanging around when we beat the piss out of you, then he's gonna get it too. Or maybe we'll just strip him naked on the football field again." A load of laughter.
"I'll be there,"
Tim said, stepping to Jack's side. Jason searched for further threats, and his forehead gleamed with sweat as the pressure for him to slug Jack or Tim mounted. Their circle moved in. The smell of axe was overpowering. Tim squinted, removing his glasses. "Is that a promise?" Jack said suddenly.
"What?"
Jason got up in Jack's face. "That anyone who's with me will get a beatdown." Jason smiled. "Yup. In that case, I'll make sure it's a party." "What do you mean?" "Oh, well, I don't think Mike Zorgan wants to miss out. You know Mike, senior linebacker for the football team. Just broke the school's benching record. And there's always Justin Prince, the guy from the county correctional facility in that gang activity program." "They wouldn't come." Jason's grip loosened on Jack's collar. "They both owe me favors, as does Crazy Ricky and Lawrence Duke, and screw you." Jason gritted his teeth as he wrenched Jack up. "I'm calling your bluff." "Call it," Jack said, making his eyes look crazy. "I will. Sometime today, before I suffocate from your cologne." Jack suddenly noticed Jason looking beyond him down the hallway. What Jack couldn't see was the new girl with the velvet straight hair, all in black, as she strutted slowly into a nearby classroom. She gently raised an eyebrow, a faint smile flickering on her face before she disappeared into her class. Jason's grip went slack. A lobotomized look slapped across his face. Jack waited patiently, leaning himself back against the locker as he checked his watch. "Hey, break it up, you guys," Mr. Zim called, stepping out from the doorway of his classroom. Jason snapped back from his haze and shoved Jack once more, nodding for his guys to keep moving. As they continued down the hall, Jack called after them. "Hey, Jason, let's do an interview when you have a chance." Jack winked as the whole soccer team flicked him off.
"That was incredible."
Tim was on Jack's heels again. "Tim, stop hanging out with me, man. I'm not a good guy."
"What are you talking about? You're the best. You're our retribution."
"Your what?"
"Our retribution. Guys like Jason are everywhere, and they can't get through a day without making fun of the Guardians or Anime Club."
"Same club."
"Right, but you," Tim pointed at Jack for emphasis, "you turn the tables on them. Suddenly, they're the guys running for cover and getting laughed at."
"They're not that hard to make fun of," Jack said, keeping a careful eye on the hallway in both directions.
I'm not about making fun of people, but sometimes they have it coming. And Jason had it coming.
Jason should have been expelled for what he did to you, Jack said. But don't kid yourself, Tim. I'm a jackass, and I'll throw you under the bus just as quickly as any of them. It's all about the story.
That reminds me, Tim bumped into Jack as they slowed. You know I got your back through anything, but you gotta take it easy on the faculty. They're starting to get angry.
You're beginning to sound like Deb. Jack watched Nina Gordon coming from Mr. Horton's homeroom with Bridget and a few others. It was time for her typical makeup and hair check. Jack ducked into the empty bathroom beside them, and Tim followed.
You should probably lay off the chicks, too. And what are we doing in the...
Tim paused as he looked around, observing the absence of urinals and abundance of stalls.
Girls' bathroom!
Tim froze as if caught in the spotlight of a prison break. Jack moved quickly, removing the tape recorder from his bag as he hummed the Mission Impossible soundtrack. Relax, Tim. We're not staying. It's just a little espionage for my follow-up to the Nina and Jason article. A kind of, where are they now? Jack checked his watch and stepped over to the paper towel dispenser. He began pulling sheet after sheet out. He pulled off the plastic outer shell with ease and placed the tape recorder in a nook next to the few paper towels that were left. He popped the outer shell back on and checked his watch.
Do you have any idea how illegal this is? Tim asked.
You tell me. Your dad's the lawyer. He pushed Tim ahead of him.
Oh man, this is the girls' bathroom, dude, Jack yelled, bursting through the door and out into the hallway.
They nearly tackled Nina, her eyes flaring when she saw Jack.
I'm going to kill you, she said.
Get in line, Jack casually passed her with an arm over Tim's shoulder.
Yeah, get in line,
Tim repeated, and went to high-five him. Overdoing it, Tim, Jack muttered.
Oh, sorry.
Jack glanced back and saw Nina and the girls disappear into the bathroom and smiled. It's going to be a profitable day. The bell rang for the next period, and kids filed away into different classrooms.
The new chick is so hot,
Jason shouted, unable to contain himself. His buddies all nodded in dazed agreement. Nina stood by her locker, watching her ex closely, but she didn't seem upset. A few of her close friends stood around her like a cluster of protective soldier bees, their hands on her shoulders, heads bowed, as if they were praying over her. Jack observed this incident among the chaos of the hallway while trying to stay inconspicuous. Suddenly, something like a shadow moved over his eyes, and in the crowd, he felt his hand tingle. Someone had caressed it. He spun around to catch who'd touched him, but no one walking by looked back. The hallway finally finished clearing, and the last of the classroom doors shut. Jack dashed to the girls' bathroom, listened for a second, and heard no noises from within. He cracked the door and peered inside. No feet sticking out from under the stalls, no girls staring at themselves in the mirrors. Jack slipped in and removed the outer shell of the paper towel dispenser. He snatched his tape recorder and shoved it in his pocket. Home free, he thought, when suddenly there was a sound at the door. Someone was approaching. He went to run for it, but ducked into a stall just as the door was opened. He sat gently on the toilet seat and put his feet up against the stall door so as to be out of sight. A single person walked in. The footsteps were hesitant, and Jack listened as he tried to breathe noiselessly. There was the rush of water at the sink, and a few seconds later it cut off. He tilted his head to look through the slit between the door and wall, but he still couldn't see the girl. The footsteps suddenly came near the stall. His stall. He closed his eyes. The jig was up and he knew it. But then, silence. Jack heard nothing. No door opening, no talking, no footsteps, not even any breathing. Nothing. He sat for a good minute with his feet still propped against the door. He knew he'd heard someone, hadn't he? Jack sat pondering this as his butt went numb and his right leg seized up from a cramp. When some girl ran screaming from the bathroom claiming Jack was spying on her, Thurman would have all the ammunition she needed. Thurman's snide smirk and disdainful glare were the only things keeping him fighting through the pain of his spasm. Another minute later, Jack threw in the towel. Must have been my imagination, he said aloud, trying to convince himself. More than 2 minutes had passed, and he was sure the sounds had been in his head. He moved his legs down to the floor, and suddenly heard a faint sound. A breath? He looked down under the door in time to see a black pair of girls' Skechers step away, and the back of a girl's head, her black hair flowing out behind her. She had been standing right outside his stall, just standing there silently the whole time.